too smooth, that mud talking to have your ass in a wreck. Who's signing your check? Pussy better do what he says. We shutting down shows. Ain't gotta put no price in your head. Man, I'm coming for your tongue for all that shit that you said.
Gonna make the profiles boom, 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 boom. What it is, I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is and what it ain't. What it ain't is bullshit, and what it is real talk by a real one in real life, giving you real stories, real profiles on real people. Now trip out. As you can tell by that thumbnail, yes indeedy, I'm about to write graffiti on this bus, and a menu will start in a direct fashion. Right here on Gunner's Profiles, we're gonna get deep into the game, right? We're gonna get deep into the game. And what we're talking about is one character, one individual, man, whose name last year was pretty much out there in the airwaves. I actually had conversations with this guy, man. Didn't think I would ever have conversations with the guy. Had a lot of respect for this guy. Still do have the wind's blowing. A little bit of respect for this gentleman. But I don't know. I can't call it like an alcoholic. What I will say is we're talking about little Dave Santillan, right? Former national president of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. First and foremost, without too much being said, I want to say respects to the Mongol Club. Respects to all the 1%er biker clubs that have been doing it for several years, have established a lot of relationships with the community, have done a lot for people, for the raza, for the gente, for people in general. You know, a lot of people have a stigma. They get a bad stigma. That people get a bad taste in their mouth when they think bikers. You know what I mean? They think oil, they think bikes, they think loud, they think outlaws. But not all clubs are like that. A lot of clubs are predicated on just taking care of their own gente, just taking care of people in general. And a lot of them do a lot for the community. So I say respects for that one. And that we see eye to eye perfectly. Little Dave. Let's get to Little Dave, man. We're going to start from the front, back and get to the front. You know, Little Dave was the national president, became the national president of the Mongols Motorcycle Club in 2015. He took over from his predecessor, Doc Cavazos. I did profile Doc Cavazos. I'll give you a quick little spiel for those of you that don't know. Doc Cavazos was a treacherous, vicious, greedy individual who ultimately defamed the club a little bit by, telling, basically giving the feds a lot of information on the club as well as other associates. And basically would never outlive that image. Would never outlive that to what just happened. Of course, now he's out. He's living his life. He's doing whatever he's doing. But Doc Cavazos was a big figure in the motorcycle world for many, many years. Of course, being the national president of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. And Little Dave was part of that club. And he's seen from the background everything that Doc Cavazos was doing and how he was bringing the club down for his own greedy, selfish ways. And that's what happens. Individualism, favoritism, greed, envy, betrayal, all this goes into the pot, man. And based on that guy's merits and his character, he will get dealt with. Of course, he went out bad with the club when he started speaking to the federal government. And that's usually what happens, man. They're not focusing on the small fish. The federal government are focusing on the big fish, man, that they can throw in the pan and fry them up. That's get con un chile and taste bomb, right? They're always trying to cut the head off the snake. That way the body will wither. But of course, man, just like a dragon, you have 10 heads and it's hard to do that. And quietly as it's kept, that's nobody's business. Anyways. So with Doc Cavazos out bad, Little Dave was put on the forefront as the club charter president. Okay, he started off as the president and quickly got voted in because of his intelligence, his tenacity, the way he carried himself and his professionalism to become the national president for the Mongol Motorcycle Club. Now, this is a very big club. This is a club that started in East LA and has now reached, other continents. It's all over the world. People consider it a dangerous group. I consider them a respected group, okay, a respected club. These guys have their rules and regulations, and it's cool to dictate your own people, to regulate your own people. You need to do that. By them being 1%ers, meaning they don't follow the rules and regulations of the motorcycle industry. They follow their own rules and regulations, and they pretty much have that set in the paint. They put paint where it ain't. And now, it's not my fucking business to speak on what goes on in their clubhouse. It's not my business to speak on their rules. And so I don't know. So I can't call it like an alcoholic. But what I can say is Little Dave Santillan was the national president of the Mongols. And he changed the direction of the club. Okay, when Doc Cavazos was the president, he was into recruiting as much soldados as he can get, as much manpower. Ain't nothing wrong with having a lot of fucking brothers, having a lot of backup, and especially when you got a lot of enemies in the motorcycle world, when you're one of the most hated groups, one of the most hated clubs. Of course, we know all about the rivalry with the Hells Angels that's went on for decades now. We know all about the rivalry with several other clubs, and they've held their own. They're well established. All the way, like I said, from LA on back, They're very established. But at the same time, Doc Cavazos was taking fruit from the tree. He was recruiting ex-Southsiders or ex-Sureños from the recruiting pool of the big organization down there. That's all we're going to say about that. And at the same time, he was rocking the boat, not trying to, pay his dues, not trying to contribute back to the hand that fed him. Okay, and I understand that when you're an outlaw, when you're an outlaw biker, when you come from a motorcycle club as prominent as the Mongols, man, you ain't gonna do what the next man says. You're gonna do what you do, and that's fucking fine and dandy. But at the same time, man, everybody's gonna mind somebody. At the end of the day, everybody will, even bikers. Now, Trip, the Mongols ain't going out like that. Like I said, very well respected group, well respected in the system, in the California Department of Corrections system, as well is the streets, man. And they got that coming. They deserve that. They've never bothered anyone that didn't bother them first. That I know, that's a fact. I got homeboys that are actually ride with the motorcycle club, the Mongols, man. And I just like their Cedo. I like their get down. Most of them are 9-to-5ers, man. Most of them get up every day. They go to their holiday. This is something they do. This is a part of their life. This is something they were born to do. And I respect that. And little Dave was the same way. Growing up in LA, all he's seen around him was gang violence and peer pressure and bullies and gente fucking getting it. Everybody was chasing the bag. Everybody was cutthroat. Now, somewhere along the lines, man, he felt that if for no other reason, he wanted to be part of an organization, part of a group, part of a club. And he decided to join the Mongols Motorcycle Club. He liked bikes. He liked the rhythm and the way that they were moving. He liked the vibe. And so he got in where he fit in. And of course, he became a righteous soldado and moved up within the ranks quite swiftly. Now, the reason this was able to be accomplished was he was a homegrown vato from the original charter, the original chapter. And when you're that, you already get certain type of respect. Now, little Dave also had something that not a lot of people have, and that's a good mind. This vato was very positive in nature and had a keen, intelligent mind. Now, most leaders are going to have to be intelligent. When you look towards leaders, man, you look for someone that can lead the people, someone that got good mouthpieces, someone that know what the fuck they're saying when they say it, someone that only says something that means something, someone that's willing to stand on the forefront for the people, someone that's willing to hold it down for their gente. These are the people that we look towards as leadership, whether it be in the Chicano movement, Norteño movement, Sureño, Bulldogs, right? Or fucking bikers. At the end of the day, man, you're going to put your trust and your belief system behind someone that you know can lead you to that promised land. Whatever the intentions or the final end game may be, that's where you're going. And little Dave had that. He possessed the intelligence. He possessed the tenacity to do it and get things done. And he changed the whole direction of the club. Where Doc Cavazos started to utilize the club and bring it down and use funds, this guy started to put back into the community. They started to do more rides for the community. Started to be more out there. And he became the face of the Mongols. I remember a long time ago seeing little Dave's face all over a documentary. I remember seeing him all over the place. And to me, he became the face of the Mongols. Now, ain't nothing wrong with that. But what happens is when you become the face of a group, an organization that, of course, the feds have been targeting for decades, you have to take what heat comes with that. Now, him trying to flip the organization and put it in, basically make it mainstream and put it in the limelight, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes individually that can't be spoken on, that could get your club tied up and in the mix. And what happened was the feds started to target, of course, the Mongols again, and they started to do a RICO on them. They had already did a RICO where 75 members were incarcerated, along with Doc Cavazos, Little Rubes, and his family, to which Doc flipped on everybody and told on people, as well as his son, Rubes. But at the same time, like I said, little Dave took it in a whole different direction. And the club gained a lot more respect. Of course, whatever battles they had going on, wars they had going on, they kept that under the radar. They kept that behind the smoke. They kept that, pay no attention to the war with the Hells Angels going on behind the curtain. They kept that out of the way. And that's what you're supposed to do as a leader. You're not supposed to put your business out there. Now, of course, the feds started targeting him, and David took it upon himself to be the spokesman for the club. Of course, they had lawyers, they had this, they had that. But the feds were actually trying to take their patch away from them. They were actually trying to basically make this club crumble from within. And they targeted them. For several years, man, there's a battle that's been going on between the Mongols and the federal government, man. And not to say that either one of these groups are wrong in their doings. One's the cops, one's they consider the robbers. But these guys are really not that bad. They're just a motorcycle club trying to live their life, live free, die free, ride free, and do their thing, man. As a Mongol, people know their creed, people know their rules, people know what's going on. I myself am not one, so I can't speak on that. But I will say they get a lot of respect in the communities that they're from, no matter where they're at in the United States or the world. Now, little Dave was looked at in very high esteem. Meaning for many years, his leadership, his word, unquestionable, was not to be questioned. He had a lot of respect from all the charters, all the different clubhouses. Everybody knew him. I respected him, didn't even know him in person, but I respected the fact, man, that someone that's ahead of an organization that big and continues to ride and live like that, man, and fight the good fight against the federal government for his gente, man, you got my vote, right? You got my vote, most definitely. Now, what happened about a year ago is when he lost my vote. So I just took it back. I said, let's go. I can't have that. And the reason being is one fateful day, I wake up. And the trip out on the story, because we're going to get a little into it. I'm actually at the homeboy Senor Rojo's house. Big Rojo, we're out there in Houston. We're chilling. I've been out there for about a week, posted up with the homeboy. And we're out there kicking back, and I'm in his backyard. And I wake up 6 in the morning, you know. He's doing his little thing. We're waking up. We got to get it going. We were actually taking a flight back to the Bay Area, to which we were going to go to Frisco that day. So I wake up. I'm up early, do my little máquina, about to brush my teeth, get on all that. When someone sends me a YouTube video. In this particular YouTube video was little Dave talking to his wife, talking about basically working with the federal government. Not in so many words. He didn't necessarily say that, but people could read between the lines, and it sounded like he was working with the Fed handler, okay? Now, I don't know nothing about that, but at the same time, just listening to it on first glimpse, on first glance, on first hearing it, that's immediately what I thought. So I said, hey, Rojo, come out, trip out on this. We talked about it. We discussed it. Should we do something on this? At that point in time, it was like, Charlie, we're not going to really do anything on that, right? We decided that for no other reason, that was none of our business. It wasn't what we were into. A lot of the biker stories at that time weren't really going nowhere. But as it started to pick up steam, again, told Rojo, maybe you guys should do something. You and Flacco should do something on your channel, A Convict's Perspective. If you haven't tapped in, make sure you tap into A Convict's Perspective. And so they decided to do something about it. They decided to, give it its righteous spiel, its righteous due. And it basically blew up. This was the word on the curb. Everybody was talking about it in the biker world. Everybody was talking about it in the YouTube world because of the respect and who this figure was in the motorcycle world. He had that. Little Dave's name was out there. And of course, what happened was little Dave actually himself, yes, the man, heard this story and reached out to myself as well as Rojo. And when he reached out, he had heard the story. Of course, nobody was slandering his name. There wasn't anything going on like that. So he felt that for no other reason, he should put his own story out there through us. So, of course, we all know how that turns out. If you refer back to the old school, we were supposed to do it on Zoom. We started the Zoom meeting. In the middle of the meeting, he decided that he couldn't do it anymore for one reason or another. I chopped it up with him as well as his wife, gave them some of my wisdom, my YouTube knowledge that you can't get in college, right? I gave him some ways to facilitate his message to the people, man, without throwing himself under the bus or anyone else under the bus. Of course, he went a different route. He gave me his word as a man. He was going to do things a certain way. I gave him my word as a man. We were going to do things a certain way. He went against his word. I said, toma puto, and I went against mine, right? And it's just like that. Doesn't mean my word is in my bond, but when someone breaks their word to me, so I get all bets are off the table. Hey, but you put those chips on the table, gun. Not anymore, bitch, right? They're mine and yours too. Bang. And it went out and it played out how it played out. At the end of the day, that's neither here nor there. Do I take all my respect that I had once for this man? No. Whatever we had personally, the disrespect that he showed me by spitting in my hand when I extended it, I understand that. That's perfectly fine. Each person in this world has to live with the repercussions and the results for their actions. No big deal. But at the end, man, I don't take away that this man rode for a lot of years under that bandera of the Mongols clubhouse. Of course, since then, post all that went on, it started to be looked at quite extensively if he was working with the Fed handler. And pretty much, I'm not going to sit here and throw this man under the bus and shit on his character and say that he was or wasn't. I don't know that to be a fact, but the word on the curb was that he did get stripped of his patch. He did get put out of the club bad. Now, being put out of the club bad means you're no longer in good standing. It's kind of like a norteño or a sureño deeming you. You cannot walk the GP Yarda anymore. He's SNY now, and that's just the way it's going to be. Now, this guy, you would think, being a leader, being in the leadership role, would have had a little bit more due process than that. But at the same time, we don't know what went on behind the scenes, and whatever happened, happened. Hey, when you stick your foot in your mouth, you taste pata, right? And it smells. So it stinks all the way around. I'm not here to defecate on the man's character. Again, I'm not here to rehash old news. I'm not here to reiterate some bullshit. But what I am here to say is this Vato was well respected for a long time, and then all of a sudden you lose all that respect by your same brothers that ride with you. Charlie, there's more in the pudding than we know, and it's a Jello pudding pop. Utterly Bill Cosby, right? It's ugly. It's just an ugly situation. But I do want to say that the Mongols Club as a whole is a very generous, giving, great club. I'm glad that they were established. They weren't established to oppress people. They were established because at that time, man, a lot of these clubs, and quietly as it's kept, were not Chicano friendly. Were not Mexicano friendly. There wasn't a lot of raza that were able to join these big 1% biker clubs without getting slandered, oppressed, or beat up on, right? So sabes que when the Mongols came out and established, they were for the people, by the people. They were for people that looked just like me and you, brown people, gente. I know there's white people in here watching right now, sabes que it's all love. But at the end of the day, man, you can't. You got to call it like an alcoholic. You got to keep it real and say, fill me up. This is the real deal. This is exactly what went down. And for David Santillan to be involved in something like that, you got my ultimate respect. Because at the end of the day, whether you did it for the right or the wrong reasons, you did it. Can't take that away from him. Now, going out of the club bad, I can't, shit, I'm out of my club bad too, bro. So I feel you, right? I can't sit here and slander his name because whatever happened, like I said, happened. At the end of the day, man, it's an ugly situation that someone who had a career, and when I say career, I don't mean your work career. I mean your career within the underworld, right? Because, of course, man, they're always going to be labeled an underworld organization. They're always going to be labeled an outlaw biker club. But at the end of the day, man, their club is their club, man, and they don't see it any other way than that. But, you know, speaking from the federal government side and you know, and administration and even the community as a whole, a lot of people see bikers, especially the Mongols, as 1%er, you know, outlaws. A lot of people, they get a bad stigma. A lot of people are scared of them. A lot of people see the colors. A lot of people see their patches and they're afraid, right? Because of stories they've heard, because of things they've seen in documentaries, even on YouTube and TV. But at the end of the day, most of these guys are not like that, man. They are recruited to be brothers, and that's how they ride. They back each other's play, but at the end of the day, they just trying to kick back and do their thing. They do a lot, like I said, for everybody out there. You know, if you only knew. Do your research, vatos. Do your research. Anyways, little Dave Santillan. Here's another little story that no one ever told you. If you look at the Laughlin, Nevada tape, right? The famous Laughlin, Nevada tape where there was a riot or a melee between the Hells Angels and, of course, the fucking the Mongols. Look close. Just watch it. Watch what little Dave was doing that time. After I referred back to that video, someone told me about it, and I actually looked at it and I seen where little Dave was. Sasuke, he was backing up like a motherfucking crawdad. He wasn't about that smoke. He wasn't about that business. So I don't know how no one realized at that exact moment or at that exact point that this Vato has some fucking flake in his tank, right? He wasn't really with that business like he should have been. Now, I'm not here to fucking shit on him, but at the same time, I'm gonna call it as I sees it, right? And the way I seen it at that day was, man, that Vato did damn near a somersault, a cartwheel backwards, right? He didn't want that smoke. Of course, at that time, Ratnass Doc Cavazos was right there in the forefront, holding it down for the gente. I will say that, and I'll give him that much. And that's all I'll give him. But at the same time, man, little Dave was in the back, so I was getting in the back of the wave, you know what I mean? Trying to fucking go back. He was dog paddling backwards, right? It's just a trip. Trip out on it. Just something I want to speak on. Anyways, with that being said, man, I don't know where David Santillan is at this time, man. Hopefully he's back with his familia. He's just working. He's moved on, you know, and got out of the limelight and got up out of under the shadow of whatever he was dealing with. As far as club issues will be club issues. That's what they will deal with. And I know he's no longer part of that. And I got this on good authority, man, that he had his patch pulled and that he's basically not rocking with them anymore whatsoever. Of course, he's always going to have friends, just like I have friends in the hood that show you love. But at the end of the day, man, you can't participate in the reindeer games. You ain't got that coming. Such is life, man. You know, that was the profile on little Dave Santillan. You know, I'm not going to get extensively into his life, his family, his kids, where he lives now. That's nobody's business, not mine, not yours. But at the same time, man, it is what it is. He's going to always be a historical figure looked at because he was the national president of the Mongols Motorcycle Club for many, many years. From 2015 to 2022, rest in peace, that career. Anyways, with that being said, I hope that you move fast with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about you and your familia. If the Vatos would have worried about them and their familias, then everything would have been good in the hood, right? He'd still be patched up and riding, Vato, but now he ain't. And it just be like that sometimes. They say, you can always join a car club. They need a fucking good Vikla. With that being said, do your thing, gente. If you like this, please hit that like and subscribe. There's a little notification bell right there. Please pet it, touch it one time for your boy. If not, you can hit that thumbs down. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and do what I do forever forward for me and mine, the brown people. For the people, by the people. This is Gunner's Profiles. You know what we does, man. If you want to hear a banger, go also to Gunner's Collectives where I drop them daily. 1, 2 channels, clips, extended, bam, in, bang, bang. You know what it is. The gun. Gracias.